Firstly, this is no hate to this creator, David Bennett, because I'm just giving a commentary critique on his thumbnail that I saw and I had some thoughts. I saw on his YouTube thumbnail for a new video where he was, I guess, talking about his new album being completed, and the thumbnail said, no AI, no Autotune, no Quantising, and I saw that and I just thought about how it sounds like how when someone says, I'm a nice guy. If someone uses no AI, no Autotune, no Quantising, then did they have to mention it like that? Because who cares if you didn't use those? Nobody will be looking at your album and wonder if you did or didn't and try sleuthing around to find some answers. It just feels to me like an odd thing because from reading that, I understood it is, my album is worth checking out because I didn't use any of these things, which would mean that, for example, if you instead did the opposite and did use maybe at least one of these three things in your production, rather than mentioning that you didn't use any of these three things as the thumbnail says, then does that mean that your album gets bumped down and becomes less worthy of being checked out because of it? I'm not opposed to you not wanting to use these things in your album because it's your album, make it however you want, but it's like you not using these things or making it seem like your album is better than others because you didn't use these things, like someone, for example, making a recipe and saying, I didn't add this ingredient and instead did the recipe this way and now it's more healthier, trying to show that the person's recipe is better than other versions of the same recipe. Also, who's to say that your album is even good? Because like if you say you didn't use these things and people get interested because of your human efforts, aren't you setting yourself up for failure if people listen, when the album releases, simply for what you said and are disappointed by the end? Is it really about the music if you're saying you didn't use these things in your music? I'm just wondering because the marketing or whatever you're doing should be about the music unless you have to mention things, but otherwise just share it as it is. Also, with you not using these things in the album and if the album is bad, people will call you and your production or whatever process out if they find mistakes elsewhere with other things used in this album. Sure, you didn't use these three things, but what makes you sure that other things you used in the album creation process is a pass and not in the same category that you group the AI, Autotune and Quantising in? You said you didn't use these three things, which maybe you don't like, which fine again because it's your music, you do you, but what if there were other things that you didn't use in the album? Were they not worth mentioning as compared to these three things? Or if they were worth mentioning but not everything can fit on a thumbnail, did you randomly pick these three, or was it on purpose so people can know from the get-go that, I didn't do this to my songs? Who would that target? Because I saw it and I wasn't interested in watching because looking at the thumbnail made me go like, why are you mentioning it? Also, I had to Google what quantizing is, so even more I wasn't interested. Unless people are anti-AI, hate Autotune and know what quantizing is, maybe they know what it does, and not what the word is called, then who are you targeting? Why did you have to say that as if these things have become such a norm that you have to clarify about being different from the rest, when it's not a big deal honestly? Do you want a cookie for making music this way? Because I'm sure there are artists who have done the same. There are about 8-point-something billion people in this world and a lot of musicians, and they may have done the same but didn't need to mention it, because it's music. Unless it's completely noticeable or the person is exposed for doing so, nobody will care honestly because at the end of the day, it's music. If it's originally made without doing anything illegal, then does it matter to even mention this? You mentioning not using AI, Autotune or Quantising isn't really all that when the production matters regardless of what you use. You can say you didn't use these things, but having to make a good song matters more than the tools and things used or omitted. Mentioning these things in the thumbnail just comes off to me that you're trying to grab certain groups of people's attention, that even if the music was bad, mid, lackluster, flawed, whatever, then people might be like, at least he didn't use XXX thing. I know that may sound too much, but it's not a weird thing to think about for people to do, defending the song even if it may be bad that is. Overall, there was no need to mention this because it singles the people out rather than him promoting it to all his subscribers.